Αγαπητοί μαθητές, εκπαιδευτικοί, γονείς και προσκεκλημένοι, με ιδιαίτερη χαρά σας καλωσορίζω στο 11ο Μαθητικό Συνέδριο Επιστήμης και Τεχνολογίας ACSTAC. Ένα συνέδριο που για πάνω από μία δεκαετία αποτελεί σημείο αναφοράς για τη μαθητική καινοτομία, τη συνεργασία και το πάθος για τις επιστήμες. Το ACSTAC δεν είναι απλώς μια διοργάνωση. Είναι ένας χώρος όπου συναντιούνται οι ιδέες, η επιστήμη, η έρευνα και ο ενθουσιασμός της νέας γενιάς. Εδώ, μαθητές από όλη την Ελλάδα και όχι μόνο, παρουσιάζουν τις ερευνητικές τους εργασίες, τα πειράματα, τις καινοτόμες ιδέες και τα ερωτήματά τους. Εδώ οι εκπαιδευτικοί ενημερώνονται, εκπαιδεύονται, ανταλλάσσουν εμπειρίες και κυρίως πιστεύουν σε εμάς, τη νέα γενιά. Είναι ένα συνέδριο για τη φυσική, τη χημεία, τη βιολογία, τα μαθηματικά, την τεχνολογία, τις κοινωνικές επιστήμες. Είναι ένα συνέδριο για όλους εσάς που επιλέγετε να ρωτάτε γιατί, να τολμάτε και κυρίως να ψάχνετε το πώς. Φέτος έχουμε την τιμή να φιλοξενήσουμε 480 μαθητές από 39 σχολεία, που παρουσιάζουν τόσο προφορικές εισηγήσεις όσο και κατασκευές, συνεχίζοντας την παράδοση της μεγάλης συμμετοχής των προηγούμενων χρόνων με την ίδια ενέργεια και ενθουσιασμό. Ως μαθητική κοινότητα του Ανατόλια, νιώθουμε πραγματικά περήφανοι που το σχολείο μας φιλοξενεί αυτή τη σπουδαία διοργάνωση. Είναι μια εμπειρία που μας εμπνέει, μας ενώνει και μας δίνει τη δυνατότητα να εκφραστούμε, να συνεργαστούμε και να εξελιχθούμε. Με όλη μας την καρδιά, ευχαριστούμε όλους όσους με αγάπη και αφοσίωση συμβάλλουν κάθε χρόνο στην πραγματοποίησή της. Στα Ανατόλια, η αγάπη για τις επιστήμες, τη τεχνολογία, τη μηχανική και τα μαθηματικά εκφράζεται μέσα από μια πληθώρα δραστηριοτήτων και μαθητικών κλαμπς, που ενθαρρύνουν αυτή την καινοτομία, τη δημιουργική σκέψη και την ομαδικότητα. Μαθητές όλων των τάξεων έχουν την ευκαιρία να συμμετέχουν σε STEM clubs, διαγωνισμούς ρομποτικής, προγραμματισμού και φυσικών επιστημών, καθώς και σε εργαστήρια ερευνητικής μεθοδολογίας και τεχνολογικών εφαρμογών. Μέσα από αυτές τις πρωτοβουλίες, οι μαθητές βιώνουν τη χαρά της εξερεύνησης, τη δημιουργία μέσα από τη μάθηση, καλλιεργούν δεξιότητες του 21ου αιώνα και προετοιμάζονται για να αντιμετωπίσουν με αυτοπεποίθηση τις προκλήσεις του μέλλοντος. Από την περασμένη χρονιά, μία νέα και πολλά υποσχόμενη πρωτοβουλία προσθέθηκε στις STEM δραστηριότητες του σχολείου, οι AI Ambassadors. Πρόκειται για μια ομάδα που εξερευνά σε βάθος την δυναμική της τεχνητής νοημοσύνης και να αναλαμβάνει με παρουσιάσεις και δημιουργικές δράσεις. Οι AI Ambassadors λειτουργούν ως γέφυρα ανάμεσα στην τεχνολογία και την καθημερινότητα, δείχνοντάς μας πώς μπορούμε να την αξιοποιήσουμε, την τεχνητή νοημοσύνη με σύνεση, φαντασία και υπευθυνότητα. Μαζί με τους AI Ambassadors, σημαντικό ρόλο στο όραμα του σχολείου μας, παίζουν οι Green Ambassadors. Οι δύο αυτές ομάδες, καθεμία με τον δικό της τρόπο, μας δείχνουν ότι η πρόοδος στην επιστήμη και τεχνολογία δεν είναι ποτέ ολοκληρωμένη χωρίς την κοινωνική και περιβαλλοντική συνείδηση. Οι Green Ambassadors μας υπενθυμίζουν πως κάθε βήμα της καινοτομίας οφείλει να σέβεται τον πλανήτη μας. Μέσα από στοχευμένες δράσεις, πρωτοβουλίες ευαισθητοποίησης και βιώσιμες πρακτικές, μας καλούν να αναλάβουμε όλη δράση, γιατί το μέλλον της επιστήμης είναι πράσινο, συμμετοχικό και γεμάτο επίγνωση. Ακολουθώντας το παράδειγμα των Green Ambassador και μέσω των δράσεών τους, μας καλούν να αναλάβουμε ευθύνη για το περιβάλλον, τη σχολική μας κοινότητα και να ενισχύσουμε έτσι τη σχέση μεταξύ της επιστήμης, επιχειρηματικότητας και της κοινωνικής ευθύνης. Μέσα σε αυτό το πλαίσιο, τα τελευταία χρόνια, έχουν ενταχθεί δράσεις που προσφέρουν ακόμα μεγαλύτερο βάθος στην εμπειρία του ACSTAC. Μία από αυτές είναι το Hackathon. Μια δυναμική πρωτοβουλία όπου ομάδες μαθητών σχεδιάζουν λύσεις για πραγματικά κοινωνικά και περιβαλλοντικά προβλήματα. Είναι μια ξεχωριστή ευκαιρία για να δούμε πώς η επιστήμη και η επιχειρηματικότητα μπορούν να συνεργαστούν για να κάνουν τον κόσμο μας καλύτερο. Αν κάτι ενώνει όλες αυτές οι προσπάθειες, είναι το πνεύμα του ACSTAC. Η αδιάκοπη αναζήτηση της γνώσης, η ανιδιοτελή συνεργασία και η πεποίθηση πως η νέα γενιά διαθέτει τη φωνή, τη δύναμη, τη φαντασία να φέρει θετικές αλλαγές στον κόσμο. Μέσα από κάθε δράση, κάθε πρωτοβουλία και κάθε ιδέα, αποδεικνύουμε ότι το μέλλον ανήκει σε εκείνους που τολμούν να οραματιστούν, αλλά καθώς και να δράσουν. Εδώ λοιπόν έχουμε την ευκαιρία να γίνουμε μέρος αυτής της αλλαγής. Το μέλλον είναι στα χέρια μας. Η δικιά μας συμμετοχή είναι το πρώτο βήμα για έναν καλύτερο κόσμο. Σήμερα, καθώς ανοίγουμε τις εργασίες του ACSTAC, σας προσκαλώ να συμμετέχετε ενεργά, να μοιραστείτε τις ιδέες σας και να εμπνευστείτε από τα έργα και τις παρουσιάσεις των συμμαθητών σας. Ας αξιοποιήσουμε αυτή την ευκαιρία για να μάθουμε, να συνεργαστούμε και να αρωματιστούμε ένα καλύτερο μέλλον μέσα από την επιστήμη και την τεχνολογία. Με τη συμμετοχή σας φέρνετε όχι μόνο νέες ιδέες, αλλά και την αισιοδοξία που χρειάζεται για να δημιουργήσουμε έναν κόσμο γεμάτο δυνατότητες και καινοτομία. Ας κάνουμε αυτό το συνέδριο έναν χώρο που μας εμπνέει να πιστεύουμε ότι μπορούμε να κάνουμε τη διαφορά. Ας είναι το συνέδριο αυτό όχι μόνο μια παρουσίαση έργων, αλλά μια αφορμή για διάλογο, δικτύωση και γιατί όχι, αλλαγή. Καλή αρχή και καλή επιτυχία σε όλους. Θα ήθελα να καλέσω στο βήμα τον πρόεδρο του Κολεγίου Ανατόλου, κύριο Πανοβλάχο.
Good morning, everyone. What a wonderful gathering. I'm actually delighted to welcome you to the 11th Annual Anatolia College Science Technology Academic Conference. To be honest, I still remember the discussions about initiating all of this, and I would like to really thank my colleagues, and especially Haido Samara, for having this great idea that eventually... Thank you, Haido. Thank you, everybody. As mentioned, we are actually delighted to host over 480 students. I see over here 130 teachers from many schools across Greece. I see students from Athens, Chios, Ioannina, Crete, Kos, and many other places. Thank you for being here because you actually help us grow ACSTAC as a national celebration of science, creativity, and civic engagement. We at Anatolia believe that education should be active, should be inclusive, and rooted in real-world experience. That's very, very important. As technological and scientific advancements accelerates, it is crucial that we nurture a generation of critical thinkers, problem solvers, and innovators like you. We really hope, I was recently in a major event in Athens where they were discussing about the future of Europe. The former Prime Minister of Italy was there, former Prime Minister Letta, that produced a report saying that Europe is not doing well in technology, is left behind. So I have great hope that you, the new generation, will change this. Because either if we want it or not, technology and innovation is the driving force of society. So this is a small parenthesis. This year's topics, I glanced at them, range from AI and robotics to biofuels and environmental innovation. Your work demonstrates the vital role STEM can play in shaping a better and definitely a more sustainable future. I should say that I'm not proud of my generation as to what we've done on the environment, so again, the hope is with you. I should also point out, I find it very interesting that we have two valuable European Union-funded initiatives that stand out at this conference this year. The first EU-funded initiative is Blooming the Future. This initiative aims to promote gender equity and inclusion in STEAM, not only STEM. The project focuses on inclusive teaching practices, diverse learning environments, and role models. One such role model is this year's keynote speaker, Dr. Stella Bezeriani. Ms. Bezeriani is a proud Anatolia alumna. Is a research director at the Center for Research and Technology, Hellas, and is the chair of the board at the Noises Science Center and Technology Museum. She's also a leader in the development of carbon-neutral fuels and e-fuels. So, in my view, Dr. Bezeriani exemplifies the power of education, perseverance, and inclusion, and we are very proud of you. Thank you for being with us. The second EU-funded initiative is the Guardians of the Seashore, a project to support sea literacy and environmental stewardship. Students have taken part in a Sea of Ideas hackathon, submitting innovative ideas for marine sustainability. We are really proud of all of you who are applying STEM to protect our seas. Sometimes we forget how important seas are for our future. We are also finally hosting the European Association of STEAM Educators Conference. So we are welcoming 20 experts from across Europe. Thank you for being with us today. And they will actually going to lead workshops and discussions. I see over here that we offer 10 workshops for students and 4 workshops for educators, and I think that's also very important. We hope that this will help expand your skills, perspective, and passions. Now, finally, I need to say thank you. I need to say thank you to all that have worked tirelessly to make this happen. Our 12 dedicated Anatolia College STEM students that have worked so hard, overall our volunteer team, in other words, our faculty, thank you all, I should say that one of the things that characterizes Anatolia is that our faculty and staff are tireless. We organize over 100 major events a year just to connect people, to bring change in education in Greece. So thank you all. I also want to thank our alumni that are supporting us in this event. So enjoy the weekend. I hope that at the conclusion of this conference, you will feel that it was worth it, and I'm sure you will engage in interesting discussions and possible ways to make our future more sustainable. Thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you.
So welcome to the 11th Anatolia College Science and Technology Annual Conference. It is a true pleasure to see our campus once again filled with so much curiosity, energy, and the spirit of innovation. I'd also like to extend a warm welcome to everyone joining us via live stream. Thank you for being part of this day, wherever you may be. ACSTAC began as a platform for students to showcase their passion for science and technology, and it has since grown into a vibrant event that has brought more than 5,000 participants from schools across Greece. Our goal remains the same: to inspire young minds, cultivate curiosity, and connect science with the real world. At Anatolia College, through the Anna Papageorgiou STEM Center, we champion a holistic and sustainable approach to STEAM, one that includes creativity, collaboration, and social responsibility. We are also proud to promote gender equality in STEAM through initiatives such as the Blooming the Future program, a European project that supports the inclusion and empowerment of girls in science and technology. The presence of diverse voices in STEAM is not only necessary, it is essential for building a more innovative and equitable future. This year, we are especially honored to welcome guests from EASE, the European Network of STEAM Educators. Your presence enriches our conference and reflects our shared commitment to advancing STEAM education across borders. Thank you for being here. The conference would not be possible without the generous support of Dan and Helen Lindsay in loving memory of Hrisi Papidou-Elektri and Pavlos Elektris. We are also grateful to livemedia.gr for supporting our live broadcast, and to Diavlos, the digital platform that helps share work with the broader academic community throughout the country. A heartfelt thank you to the Student Organizing Committee for their tremendous efforts, and to all volunteers, faculty who support this initiative with such dedication and care. Thank you all for being here. I look forward to seeing your projects and being inspired of all your amazing work.
Καλημέρα και στα ελληνικά. Μια όμορφη και γεμάτη μέρα ξεκινάει. Σήμερα θα μάθουμε, θα ανταλλάξουμε ιδέες, θα συνεργαστούμε και θα εμπνευστούμε από τη δύναμη της επιστήμης και της τεχνολογίας και της δημιουργικότητας φυσικά. Ήδη από χθες το 11ο ACSTAC έχει ξεκινήσει δυναμικά και έχουμε παρακολουθήσει εξαιρετικές παρουσιάσεις σε ποικίλους τομείς της επιστήμης και της τεχνολογίας. Σήμερα θα έχετε επίσης την ευκαιρία να περιηγηθείτε στις κατασκευές των παιδιών που βρίσκονται στο Τσίπος, στο Τρέισι και στο Κυρίδης Χολ, καθώς και στις αφίσεις που βρίσκονται στο δεύτερο όροφο του κτηρίου Μακεδονία. Ένα μεγάλο ευχαριστώ στους μαθητές εθελοντές μας με τα λευκά μπλουζάκια που βρίσκονται σε όλους τους χώρους για να σας καθοδηγούν και να σας βοηθήσουν όπου χρειαστεί. Θα θέλαμε να ευχαριστήσουμε θερμά τους χορηγούς, τους υποστηρικτές μας, τους εκπαιδευτικούς, το διοικητικό και το εργατοτεχνικό προσωπικό του σχολείου μας για την πολύτιμη συνεισφορά τους. Στο φετινό ACSTAC, όπως και στη ζωή, η επιστήμη δεν είναι αποκομμένη από την κοινωνία. Αντίθετα, μέσα από τη θεματολογία μας και την ένταξη της κοινωνικής ευθύνης και της βιωσιμότητας, χτίζουμε μια συλλογική συνείδηση και ενισχύουμε το ρόλο των νέων ως ενεργών πολιτών ενός κόσμου που νοιάζεται όχι μόνο για το σήμερα, αλλά και για το αύριο. Σας εύχομαι να απολαύσετε τη μέρα, να αξιοποιήσετε κάθε ευκαιρία για μάθηση, για αλληλεπίδραση και να φύγετε από το συνέδριο με περισσότερη γνώση, με περισσότερη αισιοδοξία και έμπνευση. Καλή συνέχεια σε όλους και καλή επιτυχία!
Κυρίες και κύριοι, αγαπητοί συμμετέχοντες, καθηγητές και φίλοι. Ονομάζομαι Θεοδόρος Πεσματζόγλου και σήμερα έχω τη χαρά και την τιμή να απευθύνω λόγο ως συντονιστής και αρχηγός των εθελοντών του συνεδρίου. Αρχικά, ως μαθητής του Ανατόλια, θα ήθελα να σας ευχαριστήσω θερμά που επιλέξετε να βρίσκεστε εδώ σήμερα στο 11ο Συνέδριο Επιστήμης και Τεχνολογίας ACSTAC, δίνοντας ζωή και ενέργεια στο σχολείο μας σε μια τόσο όμορφη και ξεχωριστή ημέρα. Είναι πραγματική μας τιμή που σας φιλοξενούμε και έχουμε την ευκαιρία να ανταλλάξουμε ιδέες και απόψεις με μαθητές από όλη την Ελλάδα. Είμαι βέβαιος ότι όλοι σας έχετε ετοιμάσει εξαιρετικές εργασίες και παρουσιάσεις αντάξιες του επίπεδου αυτού του συνεδρίου. Πρωτού ξεκινήσουμε, επιτρέψτε μου να σας δώσω κάποιες χρήσιμες πληροφορίες σχετικά με το συνέδριο. Αρχικά, για να έχετε ανά πάση στιγμή στη διάθεσή σας το αναλυτικό πρόγραμμα, μπορείτε να σκανάρετε το QR code που βρίσκεται στο πίσω μέρος από το ατομικό σας καρτελάκι. Οι παρουσιάσεις των προφορικών εργασιών και το exhibition θα πραγματοποιηθούν σε προκαθορισμένες αίθουσες, όπως είπε και η κυρία Περακάκη, τις οποίες μπορείτε να τις βρείτε τόσο στο πρόγραμμα και με τη βοήθεια των εθελοντών. Περνώντας τώρα στα πιο ευχάριστα, το διάλειμμα και η διανομή του φαγητού θα γίνουν από τις 2 έως τις 3 και κατά τη διάρκεια του θα προσφερθούν σάντουιτς και χυμός σε όλους τους μαθητές και τις μαθήτριες έξω από το Macedonian Hall, δηλαδή το κτίριο Μακεδονία, που είναι το πέτρινο κτίριο, το κεντρικό. Παράλληλα, το κηλικείο βρίσκεται στο κτίριο 18 στο σχεδιάγραμμα και λειτουργεί από τις 8 το πρωί έως τις 3 το μεσημέρι. Αυτό θα ισχύει και για την Κυριακή. Επίσης, για λόγους ασφαλείας, σας ενημερώνουμε ότι η νοσηλεύτρια θα βρίσκεται καθ' όλη τη διάρκεια του συνεδρίου στο ιατρείο του κτηρίου Μακεδονία. Τέλος, για οποιαδήποτε ερώτηση ή διευκρίνηση, μην διστάσετε να απευθυνθείτε είτε σε κάποιον από τους εθελοντές, που είναι τα παιδιά με τις άσπρες μπλούζες, ή στο γραφείο πληροφοριών στην είσοδο του Μακεδονία. Ελπίζουμε να έχετε μια ευχάριστη και παραγωγική ημέρα στο συνέδριο. Σας ευχαριστώ πολύ.
Καλημέρα σε όλους. Εγώ είμαι η Ζωή Τριανταφυλλίδου. Θα προλογίσω την κυρία... Συγγνώμη, μισό λεπτάκι. Μισό λεπτό, υπάρχει ένα τεχνικό πρόβλημα. Την κυρία... μισό λεπτό. Ναι. Έχω ένα προβληματάκι με το σύνολο. Ωραία. Την κυρία Μπεζεριάννη. Η κυρία Μπεζεριάννη είναι Research Director στο Κέντρο Τεχνολογίας και Ανάπτυξης στην Ελλάδα και από το 2023 είναι Chair στο Committee of Directors του Gnosis και χαιρόμαστε πάρα πολύ να την έχουμε μαζί μας, την καλωσορίζουμε στο συνέδριό μας. Η προσπάθειά της στο συνέδριο εκτιμάται πάρα πολύ και σας ευχαριστούμε πολύ που βρίσκεστε εδώ. Έχει κάνει μια έρευνα σχετικά με την ανάπτυξη και την identification of novel technologies για την παραγωγή του carbon neutral fuels και χαιρόμαστε πολύ γιατί είναι ένα πρότυπο σε αυτή την κοινωνία μας, η οποία στοχεύει στην ανάπτυξη και στην ανάπτυξη της τεχνολογίας among our generation. Είναι college alumni, Anatolia College alumni του 1990 και έχει σπουδάσει χημικός μηχανικός στο Αριστοτέλειο Πανεπιστήμιο και είναι active member τόσα χρόνια σε όλες τις κοινότητες του Ανατόλια και σε πολλά προγράμματα που συντονίζουμε. Την ευχαριστούμε πολύ και την καλούμε στο βήμα.
Good morning. I can't express how happy I am to be here today. I remember playing in this court when I was a student. I am very happy to be here giving a lecture in front of students of the same school that I graduated. I'm very honored. Thank you, Mr. President, for this invitation. Really, it's a great opportunity for me to present to you how I came here today, hoping to inspire you. I will, of course, give you a STEM presentation to talk to you about biofuels, and I gave this very, I believe, interesting title for my presentation, that biofuels are really the renewable rebels. Because when the older generation, the President Mr. Vlachos mentioned that we are not very proud of our generation. When we grew up, biofuels was not a word in our dictionary, but the last 20 years, it is not only a word, it is something that has infused the energy sector, and I'm going to show to you what really are biofuels, what is the future of biofuels, and hoping to inspire you to get involved somehow into this field. I'm starting my lecture with a quotation from the NASA webpage that mentions that while the sun has played a role in the past climate changes, the evidence shows that the current global warming cannot be associated with the sun. There is a lot of talk, there is a lot of debate whether the global warming is caused by sun eruptions or is really a natural phenomena, but according to NASA, it is not. Everything that we do, all our activities are associated with energy. We are addicted to energy, we are depending on energy, from mobile phones to electricity in this building to fueling our cars and our aeroplanes. We cannot avoid it, we cannot live without it. However, the irrational production and utilization of energy has really caused severe problems that are actually, we have proofs that they exist. What I'm showing to you here is from the International Environmental Energy Association, a picture of the poles from 1979 when I was a kid, and of 2023, a couple of years ago. And you see how the poles are really shrinking. As a result, we see the animals living in the poles becoming refugees. But we see the effect of global warming, climate change, we see it even in our country. We have seen droughts, we've seen extreme fires, we see extreme weather phenomena. And these are really the results of global change, climate change. Now, is transportation associated with climate change? There are, according to the research, there are 5 greenhouse gases, the emissions of which cause this greenhouse effect. And since I'm talking to STEM students, I'm not going to talk about what is the greenhouse effect. I assume that you all know this. One of these, though, gases, the carbon dioxide, is really contributing to 30% of the greenhouse gas emissions because of transportation. This is CO2. Now, in order to mitigate, in order to limit the CO2 emissions, we can do two things. Either we can somehow collect and reutilize the CO2 emissions. It is called CO2 sequestration. It's a whole technological pathway that is currently under investigation. Or we can start producing fuels that they are environmentally friendly and do not cause increase of the CO2 emissions, such as biofuels. Oops, sorry. Biofuels. Oop, too fast. Biofuels, when they started 20 years ago, actually 22 years ago, back in 2003, they started as a legislation, a European legislation. Europe was the pioneer of biofuels. Very, let's say, subtle, with only aiming to substitute 2% of what the transportation fuels are with these new biofuels. However, the technology has really improved. The needs are really improving of biofuels. Climate change is really becoming worse. Therefore, we see that legislation is really imposing a very dramatic and exponential increase of the utilization of these new fuels. We see that we expect by 2050, which is only 25 years ahead, you will be in your 30s or maybe reaching 40, I'm talking to the students, okay? Now, then we expect that most of the fuels, the legislation says that it should be biofuels. Therefore, something that in our vocabulary did not exist, in your life, it does exist. And not only it exists, but it's already in the cars, in the reservoirs, in the planes. If you fly from Thessaloniki to Athens, I don't know if some of you came by plane, a percentage of fuel that is used in the planes is really HVO fuels, fuels that are coming from lipids, from oils. In the cars, for those that you use diesel cars, for example, the buses, they use 4% of biodiesel in their fuel. And this is already mixed in the pump, in the gasoline stations. Now, biofuels are, of course, fuels you understand from the word that comes from a biological origin. They have a biological origin, and they are produced from renewable energy sources, what we call as biomass. We'll see what biomass is. Biofuel resources and production technologies are evolving very fast in order to address environmental and techno-economic considerations, because biofuels, the biggest problem we see right now is that they are a bit costlier than fossil fuels, and also to address the problem of competition with food. I'll mention what this is as well. Now, this is the evolution of biofuels. When we started with biofuels 20 years ago, we only had first-generation biofuels. We had biofuels that were produced from crops dedicated to produce energy. Crops that included either oil crops like rapeseed or sunflower that gave us oil that was utilized to produce diesel, that was called FAME, or corn or beet that was grown in order to produce sugars that were used to produce ethanol. That though caused problems with the competition of the use of land to produce energy versus to produce food. And that drove the technology into the second generation biofuels, which is the technology that I'm mostly working on, which actually are the biofuels that are depending on resources which are not associated with food. It's actually waste, or they are lignin-based. They cannot have any other use. And of course, research goes even further into more exotic and new biofuels that depend from synthetic biomass or algae, microalgae, phyca, okay? There are these things that we see growing in the sea can be a great source to produce energy in the future. I mentioned biomass, which is the feedstock to produce biofuels. However, I have to tell you the actual truth. Biomass is really not compatible feed, not compatible resource to produce energy. It has a very low hydrogen to carbon ratio. I think we will do chemistry here, you mentioned, right? So there has to be some elements, chemical elements. It contains water, biomass contains water. Naturally, biomass contains water, which causes corrosion problems in engines, you know, the water. And it has high oxygen content. Biomass inside can have different forms of acids, of aldehydes, of oxygenated compounds, which cause problems in our engines. And you see here results of utilizing bio-based feedstocks, first-generation bio-based feedstocks. What we focus on, us in technology, is how to convert this very unfriendly feedstock, which is called biomass, into fuels. And in order to do that, we are focusing on technologies that can increase this hydrogen to carbon ratio. Hydrogen, we need hydrogen to be high because high carbon content creates CO2 emissions. That's why we want to go towards lower carbon, higher hydrogen in our feedstocks and fuels. So we are focusing on technology that increase the hydrogen to carbon ratio and remove oxygen and water. And these technologies will need to work with both liquid biomass, like lipids, waste cooking oils, oils that are in our frying pans after we fry our French fries and fried zucchini in Greece, or solid biomass, which are wheat and straw. After we collect all the valuable food-related or feed-related products, there is a lot of residues. Okay, agricultural residues. These residues are valuable and we can convert it with special technologies like pyrolysis. We can convert it to intermediate liquid fuels, which can give the rise of fuels. A key technology that is the technology that I'm working on is called hydrogenation technology, catalytic hydrogenation technology, and it helps us convert biomass to fuels by increasing the hydrogen to carbon ratio and removing oxygen and water. Here I'm showing to you how a molecule of biomass looks like. It's from agricultural waste, from wheat. After you cultivate wheat, okay, you know wheat, that we make bread and pasta, etc., there is some residue. The residue is a complicated molecule that you see on your top left corner. Now, we can convert this very complicated molecule via the technology of pyrolysis into an intermediate that is very commonly known as pyrolysis oil or pyoil. This pyrolysis oil, we can then hydrogenate and upgrade it in order to produce fuels that can be used in our cars and in our airplanes. How we do this lipid conversion? Some more chemistry. We actually can convert the complicated molecules that you see here via cracking, breaking the bonds. We can actually make them into simpler chains, hydrocarbon chains, aliphatic chains, pure hydrocarbon chains, which we can isomerize to improve the properties of the end fuel. These technologies give us flexibility with what feedstock we use, and they're actually, this is not something that we see in the future, they exist. This technology exists. This technology produces today fuel that fuels our airplanes. This technology we started working on in 2007 here in Thessaloniki at CERT with my team. We were awarded the Best Innovation Award back in 2011, and was actually a very great technology, but it has one very big obstacle. It requires large investments because it utilizes hydrogen to hydrogenate in high pressures. This is the problem. Nevertheless, we see an opportunity because all underlying refineries that produce conventional fuels, they have hydrogenation units inside them to improve crude oil properties. And what we actually consider is to evaluate the possibility of co-processing biomass in a refinery. Instead of building new plants, that would actually convert the feedstock into fuels to actually utilize the existing refineries, therefore CapEx is very small, in order to produce fuels. And here is our first work that we did in 2014 into co-processing waste cooking oil with refinery intermediates to produce hybrid fuel, something that we did with Hellenic Petroleum here in the Thessaloniki refinery. A technology right now is under scaling up, and next year Hellenic Petroleum will be having a unit that will be co-processing waste lipids that come from your frying pan in order to produce fuels. Pyrolysis oil that I mentioned earlier, that comes from solid biomass, from straw, that is also a possibility to co-process. It's more challenging because it's not miscible. You see, under the microscope, we've seen issues with miscibility with petroleum feedstocks, but we were able to stabilize, convert it to some intermediate, compatible intermediate, bio-based intermediate, in order to produce the figures in the end, the photos, are actually hybrid gasoline, left, hybrid kerosene, second, hybrid diesel, the third photo, with increased carbon content. Naphtha has 30% content based on carbon-14 measurements. So we can actually, right now, have the technology to introduce biomass in our existing refineries. Now, one can ask, are really biofuels eco-friendly? Because there is a lot of debate, especially with the first generation biofuels. Biofuels eco-friendliness depends on the feedstock that you use. If the feedstock that you use is a feed that is competing with food, like the first generation biofuels, certainly is not eco-friendly, right? It depends on land use, and it depends on the production methods. If a production method depends on fossil energy sources, for sure it's not eco-friendly. However, based on studies of dedicated labs and actual experience, because these fuels are in our tanks, in our reservoirs, biofuels are proven to burn much cleaner, both in cars and in airplane engines. Also, biofuels are fully biodegradable, which is great. If there is, in the case of a spill during their transportation, we don't need to worry about the effect in the environment, while in the contrary, we have severe ecological problems in case of spills of fossil, crude oil or fossil fuels. And because I heard that they are the AI ambassadors here, I'm very naive with AI, but I only use ChatGPT. And I asked just ChatGPT to search on the internet, search on all the studies, and let me know if the evolution of greenhouse gas emissions is foreseen positive. With respect, of course, to the reduction of emissions. According to ChatGPT, the first generation biofuels can reduce emissions up until 50%. The second generation biofuels can bring reduction from 70 to 85% of the greenhouse gas emissions. And the third generation biofuels from synthetic biomass can reduce by over 100% the greenhouse gas emission. What does that mean? How can we reduce? Are we going to start collecting CO2? Yes. These are the e-fuels. This is the technology of synthetic biomass that utilizes not only sequestrates CO2, but also the biomass that is produced is used to produce a new fuel. And this actually gives you carbon negative emissions. This is the future. Are biofuels here to stay? Certainly, biofuels right now are shifting commercially from first to second generation. Production is growing, as you see in this bar chart from the European statistics. This bar chart actually shows the market growth from 2021 until 2030, valid data until last year, 2024. The rest is a projection according, of course, to the trend that we see. The global biofuels demand in transport is expected to rise to 30% by 2050, which is now 2%. and according to the international agency, and keep this in also your minds for those of you that are considering biofuels potentially for further investigation or even employment opportunities. Biofuels are here to stay specifically for sectors that are hard to electrify. Electrification is something that we see in conventional personal vehicles. It's hard, though, to see electrification in planes, and it's very hard to see electrification in ships, in maritime sector. For these particular sectors, the number one solution is biofuels. And biofuels, of course, that they are becoming more competitive, cost-effective, environmentally friendly, second to third generation biofuels. And that's the European goal is by 2050 to have 75% of these sectors, of these two sectors, aviation, maritime sector, to be depending only on biofuels. I'm going to mention here something important, especially for our young students organizing this conference, that have excellent ideas. According to Plato, εν το γνωστό τελευταία του Θεού ιδέα και μογής οράστε. What does that mean? That in the sphere of knowledge, what is really the best idea someone can think of is an idea that actually helps mankind. It's a virtual idea. Biofuels, and this kind of technology, not biofuels, it can be CO2 sequestration, it can be solar panels, things that help the society. There is not a better idea for something that can really help the society. Thank you for your attention. I'm not done. Number one, I have a nice presentation that I will show to you that we made as part of a European project that will show to you a little bit how biofuels are made. And you will see some photos of some pilot plants. I think it's quite interesting, if I have the time, of course, to do that. Number two, I need to tell you something because I believe that when young people have people in front of them that they are telling them something, maybe something they don't know, maybe you know some of these things, it's really important for them to know how they came here to know these things. After Anatolia, taking all my ammunition from my school, from your school, I went to Aristotle University to study chemical engineering. I did an internship in a cryogenic plant here in Thessaloniki, and that lasted, a practical one summer as I was a student, and that lasted 3 months. The first month there was a problem with the plant. And the operator said, oh, we need to stop the plant and we need to wait for the experts to come from France to solve our problem. There was something about the software, a software problem that was associated with the operation of the plant. And I was, as a young person, I was saying, why do we need to wait for the French people to solve our problems, right? I mean, don't we have the expertise to solve our problems? The issue was that there was an automatic system, process control system, that was installed in the plant and nobody knew how it worked. It was a black box. That drove me to pursue my PhD into process control. So I went to the States and process control was the field that I studied. Because I wanted to be able to solve these problems that the French were solving. I mean, it couldn't be rocket science. After I finished my PhD, I did my PhD in Lehigh University in Pennsylvania, I started to work for ExxonMobil on fuels, on a process that was called catalytic hydroprocessing, the technology that I showed to you for biofuels. After 5 years working in the States and in Europe, and wanted to return back to Thessaloniki, I found this opportunity to apply this technology for biofuels. So I really started from a very different, let's say, motivation, ending up also to a nice motivation, I think, trying to make our generation a little bit more proud, if I may say, Mr. President, at least giving some seeds for thought for further research to the new generation to solve the problems that indeed we created. I'm very proud to be a woman doing this. Being a woman in this field is a challenge. We were not that many in the chemical engineering department that I graduated. Not many women pursued a dynamic career of a researcher like I did. However, I can tell you, after being involved in research for quite a few decades now, I can tell you that women in research are very well linked. Women can think in different levels simultaneously. So if they know a methodology, they can easily see ways how this methodology can be applied in a different field. I have personal experience into that. Not that men can do that. I'm not saying that men cannot be researchers, they cannot have ideas. But for sure, women in technology can contribute in research because they can think of a lot of ideas worth exploring. We are very well organized, and we are, most of the time, well driven. So for a lot of girls that I see here, I think it's quite important to consider technology, science, as part of their future. For sure, it is important to consider everyone to consider technology and science as part of our future, because that's the only way we can have a bright future. Thank you, and I'll give you a little video, if you like, about biofuels to show to you.
Global transportation is responsible for around 25% of total energy demand, being recognized as one of the sectors with the highest environmental produced from renewable bio-based sources. However, these biofuels, when produced from edible crops, are associated with overuse of arable land, water consumption, and increased food prices. Drop-in biofuels are independently produced via different thermochemical or enzymatic processes and are blended with conventional fossil-based fuels, compromising on the final fuel price. The Biomates project aims to solve the techno-economic and environmental limitations of biofuels by combining innovative, non-food feed biomass conversion technologies for the production of cost-effective bio-oil intermediates compatible with existing oil refineries, minimizing the fossil energy requirements and the operating expenses. The team consists of 9 partners from 6 European countries with valuable technical expertise, encompassing research, academia, and business prospects. During this 4-year project, an innovative technological scheme will be developed and assessed with respect to its environmental, economic, and social impact and potential. The Biomates project is based on lignocellulosic biomass from agricultural residues and non-edible plants, commonly referred as second-generation biomass. The CO2 captured by selective plants during their growth through photosynthesis can balance the emissions from their combustion as biofuel, thus making environmentally friendly biofuels in contrast with the conventional fuels. Straw, a residual feedstock, and miskelthus, a non-food biomass with a rapid growth, low mineral content, and high biomass yield make a favourite choice as biomass sources. To convert the raw material into liquid, the solid biomass particles are pyrolyzed into a cyclone reactor as they are heated against the reactor walls in less than a second in a process called ablative fast pyrolysis. The produced volatile gases exit the top of the reactor and are rapidly cooled and condensed to form liquid bio-oil. From the reactor bottom, the rich in carbon solid residue biochar is collected and can be used as a fertilizer. a portion of the pyrolysis gases is used to heat the pyrolysis reactor, reducing the process energy demands. The resulting pyrolysis bio-oil contains compounds that are unsuitable for final transportation fuels. It needs to be processed by reaction with hydrogen to partially remove oxygen, water, and other unwanted chemical bonds to reduce its acidity and increase its calorific value and stability. The Biomates project aims to upgrade the bio-oil via a single mild hydroprocessing step, employing a tailor-made catalyst to produce bio-based intermediates, Biomates, to be integrated into the existing refinery units. The project is also developing a solar-powered system to produce clean hydrogen through water electrolysis, electrochemical compression, and purification to further reduce the carbon footprint of the hydrogen production chain. To integrate the Biomates intermediates as a potential refinery co-processing feedstock, several entry points in the refinery streams have been evaluated. The high-quality bio-based intermediates present compatible characteristics with refinery streams towards their direct and risk-free integration to any oil refinery. The Biomates project develops and validates a set of innovative, cost-competitive, and environmentally friendly technologies for the production of hybrid fuels.
So either you understood everything or you understood nothing. Ah, there we are.
You mentioned in your presentation third-generation biofuels. Can you elaborate more on what that would involve?
Third generation, thank you for the question, because that's what, if someone will work on biofuels of your generation, will work on. Third generation biofuels are really the fuels that are depending on synthetic feedstock, synthetic biomass. There are ways, enzymatic ways, via special enzymes, that from waste we can synthesize lipids or synthesize biomass. This actually helps us because this technology also at the same time sequestrates, utilizes CO2 in order for the biomass to be synthesized. Also, an ambassador of the third generation biofuels is microalgae. Microalgae is some, if you want, living organisms that have inside a high lipid content, depending, of course, on the different species. The macroalgae, which is in the same family with microalgae, if you like, of the type of biomass, is what we know in the sea as phyca. Okay, now these are an excellent source of carbon because not only in order for them to grow, they sequestrate CO2, they grow also very fast. They have a very fast growing rate. And this is what really makes feedstock evolve from different generations, the growth rate. The growth rate of microalgae is 100 times faster than of conventional energy crops. Therefore, from the same land, from let's say 1 square meter of land that I want to dedicate to grow my biomass, I can grow 100 times more microalgae versus conventional plants. So for 2 reasons they are important. Number 2 is because they utilize CO2 as a feedstock. Therefore, if you remember, in the beginning I mentioned how can we really reduce CO2 emissions from fuels, from transportation. Number one, if there was somehow a magic way to collect CO2 and utilize it or bury it somewhere, we cannot bury it, therefore we need to utilize it. And these third generation plants utilize CO2, and also they have a very good yield per land area. But the technology to convert them into fuels is what you saw here, biomass changes. A lot of biologists, a lot of chemical engineers and chemists are really working into this field to develop this very fast-growing field. Yes?
So, if I heard well, we're going to use the maritime plants to produce biofuel, so therefore we're gonna destroy maritime life?
No, why are we going to destroy maritime life? No. I mentioned that you're talking about the third generation biofuels, algae, right? No. Algae are grown into small areas. They are not grown necessarily in the sea, and they are naturally grown, the macroalgae, in the sea. We are not going to destroy maritime life by continuing to grow macroalgae. They are already grown naturally in the sea. We are, though, going to collect this macroalgae, and there's a lot of work going on how to optimally collect it in order to utilize it as biomass inland to produce fuels. There is no problem about destroying life. There is nothing reported about that.
Okay.
Yes?
I was wondering if we can use biofuels instead, for example, solar panels, to produce electricity in factories, instead, for example, fossil fuels.
Now, we can, and the pyrolysis oil that you saw me presenting, the intermediate, the bio-based intermediate, in the northern countries is used for electricity generation. However, it's a pity to waste, especially in the southern Europe, that we have so much sun, to really waste all this natural energy to produce electricity for to put an energy to create fuels. And also don't forget, there is a big demand for liquid fuels. Therefore, and there is a limited amount of biomass. We need to say this. Therefore, we need to make smart choices about the biomass that we are going to utilize in order to fulfill our expectations about liquid biofuels production for the planes and the ships and the maritime sector, okay? Therefore, we can, yes, but it's not really advised, especially in our countries.
Thank you very much.
It's not economically beneficial. 3 questions, girls, eh? I noticed. Okay, thank you.
Although the technologies exist, how realistic is the possibility of biofuels replacing the normal fuels? Because there are a lot of companies that would be greatly damaged if biofuels replaced normal fossil fuels.
Excellent question, economic question. Number one, biofuels are here. There are in Greece 12 companies that produce biofuels. 2005 they start to being operating, okay? Number two, refineries, which is really the industry that is going to be, let's say, absorbing this change mostly, are already changing because refineries know they need to focus on ways to invest either in producing drop-in biofuels or to co-process biomass in their fields. Therefore, they are evolving. Very important to mention. Refining capacity has been lost by 30%. Even though the energy demand is increasing, the capacity has been lost because of all these renewables for electricity. For this lost capacity, there is a great opportunity to introduce this biomass, this renewable feedstock, inside refineries. Number 3, the refining sector is a 120-year-old sector. You know that the first car, Henry Ford's car, in 1890, the first car that was back then, it was running on cottonseed oil, βαμβακέλαιο, not on diesel, on plant oil. But the automotive industry shifted towards fossil fuels because there was a boom of energy when these resources were starting to be utilized in refineries, and we started to produce kerosene and then diesel, etc. Therefore, the technology can for sure adapt. The industry is certainly adaptable. I can tell you all, because we collaborate with most petrochemical industry, all petrochemical industry right now is somehow investing in renewables and biofuels. That's the only way to go. So, yes, the technology is there, is quite mature now. It was not like what it used to be 20 years ago, 10 years ago. And what is the focus, the economic focus, is how to make the fuels, the biofuels, cost competitive versus the fossil fuels. Now, with all these geopolitical changes that cause fluctuation of crude oil prices, biofuels, I think, are the best solution for investment, because they don't have these limitations. They don't fluctuate their prices because of wars or something like that. They are based on locally available biomass or locally produced biomass in the case of third generation biofuels. Excellent question, the fourth one also. Yes. I'm very happy there are questions. Wait.
Certain water plants, under the sea, that you said that we're going to use in the third generation, are actually there to help the ocean. Isn't that, if we take it, gonna be something bad for the environment?
Yes. When we say we will take it, we don't mean that we'll go into the sea and take everything that is in the floor of the sea, take it. There will be special protocols that, just like in the forests, if you go up in the north, in the Scandinavian countries, they have a lot of forests, but they have a lot of also of biomass from the forest, because they have specific protocols and they know the growth rate of forests, and according to the growth rate of the trees, they have a rate of taking advantage of the wood from the forest. For the macroalgae in the sea, the growth rate is very fast. So the protocol will be much easier to develop without really causing problems to the maritime life.
Yes, but isn't that what we also said when we started using diesel? We said that we would, humans would have a special amount of diesel that they would be able to use. And then they surpassed it so much that now there's a whole global and environmental warning.
Yes, and for sure these are lessons to be learned. For sure we cannot let the demand of fuel dictate the future of our ecosystems. You are very right about that. And whatever is the next step has to be very carefully designed. I'm mentioning that this is the future because of the requirements for energy that we have, and we need to find the resources in our planet that can satisfy that. I didn't say that the resources need to be misused as the fossil resources were misused. But indeed, we need to be very careful. This is the future, okay? I need an applause on this, I think, question. Right. I will have my presentation available for the students, my contact information if they need something, the video as well. Thank you very much. I'm really honored to be here. and very proud for the future of Anatolia and of the rest of the schools that participate in this conference.
So now I would like to welcome Ms. Anna Louro and Madhu Malti Sarma, members of the board of the European Network of STEAM Educators, to say hello.
So, Kalimera Thessaloniki. You know, I'm having my moment of this 2-second moment of being a rock star, where you go into a city and you say hello in their language and everyone is like, yay! I didn't get that kind of a response here, which makes me, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm really honored and proud to be here with all of you today. I'm so happy I heard all the questions and see the bright minds that I'm standing in front of today. I can tell you that I'm super happy that our future is in safe hands. All of you, the kind of questions you're asking, the kind of projects which I'm looking forward to see, makes me feel really hopeful. Very quick introduction about European Association or European Network of STEAM Educators. We are educators from all over Europe who actually would like to bring a grassroots level movement and get teachers and educators excited about bringing STEAM, which is science, technology, engineering, art, and math, into the schools. And we do this by getting them together, sharing ideas, talking about lesson plans, and sharing best practices all over Europe. We were very happy to be in Thessaloniki for our spring conference that we had from earlier this week. So thank you to Anatolia College for hosting us here. We were 20-odd teachers and educators from all around Europe who actually came and shared ideas and exchanged things. This year is particularly special for us because we get an opportunity to see the great stuff that all of you students are going to be doing. So I'm really looking forward to all of that, and I will pass it on to Anna for anything else she wants to share. So keep rocking STEAM. We need this to solve all the problems of the future. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. It's been a real pleasure to be here and to see how amazing you are already doing on this kind of projects that link STEAM to your future. We hope that. I'm very, very, very happy to be here and to see so many girls and boys, of course, as well, but so many girls here interested in developing something amazing for your future. So keep the good work going. We are here to help you. So go back to your classrooms and ask your teachers to do some research about our association. We have lots of materials for them to work with you. I hope you find them fun and amazing things to do to help your planet, your future. Thank you so much. Keep up.
Just very quickly, I've been working in the technology industry for the past 30 years. That's what I do in my real life in several companies, including IBM and Amazon and all of those. I'm super passionate about getting more girls into technology. So I'm around for some time. If any of you have any questions, feel free to reach out and I'm happy to share my experience with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Χαίρετε. Θα κάνουμε ένα διάλειμμα έτσι ώστε να λάβετε όλοι τις θέσεις σας, οι κριτές και οι μαθητές. Να επισημάνουμε ότι το σχολείο μας είναι ένα plastic free campus. Απαγορεύεται η χρήση και η πώληση των πλαστικών μπουκαλιών νερού. Υπάρχουν γυάλινα μπουκάλια με χάρτινα ποτηράκια στη διάθεσή σας και ψύκτες φυσικά. Αύριο στον ίδιο χώρο εδώ στις 10:30 θα έχουμε τους 5 φιναλίστ του Hackathon για να παρουσιάσουν τις ιδέες τους και να γίνει και να βγει και η τελική απόφαση του της ιδέας που προκρίνεται. Και στις 12 φυσικά είναι η τελετή βράβευσης των εργασιών. Ευχαριστούμε πολύ. Καλή συνέχεια, καλή επιτυχία σε όλους.